The All Blacks have named a fascinating and highly competitive team for the opening rugby's greatest rivalry test against the Springboks at Ellis Park, with head coach Dave Rennie making several major selection calls that could define the opening battle between the two world powers. After weeks of anticipation, New Zealand have confirmed that 3 key players, Jordan, Cam Roigard and Damian McKenzie, have recovered from their respective injuries and are fit enough to start against the world champions, giving Rennie access to almost his preferred attacking combination at the most important moment of the tour. For Jordan and Roigard, this will be their first appearance on the current South African tour after both players were managing injuries following the Nations Championship, while McKenzie returns after suffering a twisted ankle during the victory over the Sharks. Their returns immediately strengthen the All Blacks, but the most surprising decision comes in the forwards, where Dave Rennie has chosen to leave experienced lock Quinn Tupaea out of the starting 15, and instead unleash the remarkable Fabian Holland alongside Josh Moorby in the second row. This is a huge statement of confidence in Holland, who has made an extraordinary return after missing the entire Super Rugby Pacific season and the Nations Championship through injury. The 2025 World Rugby Breakthrough Player of the Year has already shown during the victories over the Stormers and Bulls that he has returned with serious physicality and energy, and Rennie has decided that his form deserves to be rewarded with a starting position against the Springboks. The decision to leave Tupaea out is particularly interesting because the experienced forward provided enormous physical presence during the All Blacks' victory over Ireland, and many expected his power to be important against the massive Springboks pack. Instead, Rennie has backed youth, athleticism and mobility, with Holland and Lord expected to provide the second-row engine for a team that will need to compete aggressively at the line-out, breakdown and gain line. It is a bold call, but it also tells us something about the direction in which Rennie wants his All Blacks to play. This is not simply a selection designed to survive against the Springboks. It appears to be a selection designed to compete with them while maintaining the attacking style that has become increasingly visible under the new head coach. Behind the scrum, the return of Cam Roigard is arguably one of the biggest pieces of good news for New Zealand. When fit, Roigard is regarded as one of the most dangerous attacking scrum-halves in the All Black squad, and his combination with Ruben Love and Jordie Barrett could give New Zealand a dynamic attacking axis. Love retains the fly-half jersey after impressing during the recent matches, while Jordie Barrett continues at inside center, giving the All Blacks a player capable of controlling territory, challenging the defensive line and creating opportunities for the outside backs. At number 13, Quinn Tupaea keeps his place after producing a series of strong performances under Rennie, and his selection ahead of more experienced options demonstrates just how much trust the head coach has developed in him. The return of Damian McKenzie is another major tactical boost because his ability to attack from deep and create something from broken play adds another dimension to the All Blacks backline. McKenzie will start at fullback, with Jordan moving into the other position in the back 3 and Josh Moorby retaining his place after his impressive performance against the Bulls. The combination of McKenzie, Jordan and Moorby gives New Zealand speed, aerial ability and attacking instinct. But perhaps the most exciting element is the fact that all 3 players can punish defensive mistakes. Against the Springboks, however, opportunities are unlikely to come easily. Rassie Erasmus' team are famous for their aggressive defensive system, their ability to dominate territory and their willingness to force opponents into difficult decisions. So the All Blacks will need to be extremely accurate when they get possession. Rennie knows that his team cannot afford careless handling errors or poor exits because South Africa are capable of turning a single mistake into points through pressure, territory, and their world-class set piece. The forward selection, therefore, becomes even more important. At number 8, Captain Ardie Savea returns to lead the team, and his presence will be essential in a match where the Springboks are likely to test the All Blacks physically from the opening whistle. Savea brings experience, work rate, ball-carrying ability and leadership, while Luke Jacobson continues at open-side flanker and Tupaea remains at blindside after his impressive performance against Ireland. The decision to keep Vaai at number 6 is another indication that Rennie believes the former lock can provide the physical presence and line-out ability required against South Africa. The combination of Savea, Jacobson and Vaai will have a huge workload because the Springboks are expected to target the breakdown and gain line repeatedly. In the front row, Tyrell Lomax, Cody Taylor and Ethan de Groot will have the enormous responsibility of confronting one of the strongest scrums in international rugby. Taylor brings considerable experience and leadership at hooker, while Lomax and de Groot will be expected to withstand the pressure of the Springboks front five. This could be one of the defining battles of the test because if South Africa can dominate the scrum, they can generate penalties, territory, and momentum, while a strong performance from the All Blacks forwards would immediately give Rennie's side confidence. Perhaps the biggest surprise surrounding the selection is what is missing from the bench. There will be no traditional All Blacks bomb squad, with Rennie opting for a 5-3 split rather than loading the replacements with forwards. Xavier Numia and Cortez Radama were both under selection clouds and neither makes the matchday squad, while George Bower and Kyle Preston come into the replacements. Asafo Amua, Fletcher Newell, Anton Segner and Peter Lakai provide the remaining forward cover, giving New Zealand plenty of athleticism and impact but not necessarily the same heavyweight bench strategy that the Springboks have become famous for. That decision could become extremely important during the final 20 minutes. South Africa have repeatedly demonstrated that they can change the intensity of a test through their replacements, and Rennie will need his bench forwards to make an immediate impact when they enter the field. In the backs, Kyle Preston, Anton Lienert-Brown and Leroy Carter provide the cover, while major names such as Jordan Barrett and Rico Ione miss out. The omission of Jordan Barrett will certainly attract attention because of his experience and his ability to control a test, but Rennie has clearly decided that McKenzie, Love, Jordie Barrett and the other selected backs provide the combination he wants for this particular challenge. The absence of Ione is also notable after he has impressed during the tour, but selection is ultimately about balance, and Rennie appears convinced that his chosen combination gives the All Blacks the best opportunity to challenge the Springboks. The coach has also praised the 3 franchise matches against the Stormers, Sharks and Bulls, explaining that those games exposed younger players to the unique physical demands of South African rugby. Those matches were not simply warm-up fixtures for New Zealand. They were preparation for this exact moment. The All Blacks have learned how quickly South African teams can attack the breakdown, how physical the collisions can become, and how difficult it is to escape pressure when playing deep in their own territory. Now they must transfer that experience to the test arena against the number 1 ranked Springboks. Rennie has acknowledged that the test series will be a huge step up, and that is perhaps the biggest understatement of the build-up. The Springboks are playing at Ellis Park, a venue filled with enormous history and emotion, and they will have a passionate home crowd behind them. South Africa are also entering the match with confidence after a strong 2026 campaign and a recent victory over Argentina, while New Zealand have built their own momentum by defeating the Stormers, Sharks and Bulls on tour. The key question now is whether the All Blacks can reproduce their franchise form when the opposition becomes the world champion Springboks. The return of Jordan, Roigard and McKenzie gives them attacking firepower, while Holland's selection gives the team an intriguing blend of youth, athleticism and physicality. But the pressure will be enormous. Rassie Erasmus will almost certainly attempt to test the All Blacks at the set piece, challenge them in the collision zone and force them to defend repeated phases close to their own line. Dave Rennie, meanwhile, will want his team to move the ball quickly, maintain possession and make the most of the opportunities created by Roigard, Love, Jordie Barrett, McKenzie, Jordan and Moorby. The opening exchanges could therefore tell us a great deal. If New Zealand can survive the initial Springboks pressure and establish their attacking rhythm, they have enough skill to cause serious problems. But if South Africa dominate the first quarter, the All Blacks could find themselves defending for long periods and relying heavily on their kicking game. The battle between Ardie Savea and the Springboks' loose forwards could also become fascinating, while the contest between Fabian Holland, Josh Lord and the South African locks will be crucial at line-out time. Every detail matters in a rivalry of this magnitude. The All Blacks have made their selection, and Dave Rennie has made it clear that he believes this combination can handle the challenge. He has mixed experienced test players with younger stars who have earned their opportunity, while making some bold calls that could define his tenure. Fabian Holland starting ahead of Patrick Tuipulotu, Damian McKenzie returning at fullback, Cam Roigard coming straight back into the starting 15, and Will Jordan making his tour debut are all major talking points. Now there are no more selection debates for New Zealand. The players must deliver. On Saturday at Ellis Park, The All Blacks will discover whether their preparation and new attacking identity can withstand the ultimate examination against Rassie Erasmus Springboks. For South Africa, this is another opportunity to reinforce their position at the top of world rugby. For New Zealand, it is a chance to announce that the new Dave Rennie era is ready for its biggest challenge. The greatest rivalry has reached the point where reputations, tactics and selection decisions must give way to 80 minutes of test rugby. And with both sides carrying enormous expectations, the opening battle at Ellis Park promises to be one of the most intense and significant matches of the entire season.